Just imagine a world where over 67% of people believe that there is going to be a market crash. Imagine living in a world where 50% of people still believe you need more than 20% to put down on to purchase a home. Well, the challenge is we don't have to imagine. Those are actually current statistics around consumer beliefs. If these are the situations that we are up against, that is probably why we understand that only about 25% of the leads or people you're talking to are ready to transact in the next 90 days. That means we have 75% of all the consumers, meaning the renters and owners, because again, most people aren't selling homes or talking to or have relationships with the homeless. So everybody else fits into these two categories of they are your target market, meaning their total addressable market is pretty large because people are either a homeowner or renter, which means that our role as a real estate professional is very relevant to being in a relationship with them. The challenge is so many of us are all focused on the one to many. What I mean by that is everybody is targeting this group of leads. And we are neglecting what Zillow has shared, which is a Zillow lead. Over 80% of the leads that inquire on Zillow make a change within 2 years of their living situation, meaning they either decide to buy, decide to sell, or they actually change their rental situation, which would be very relevant for us to be in a relationship with those people, to inspire, encourage options, but most importantly, to educate. Because the majority of all those people, until they have a great relationship with the real estate professional, they don't know their options. And as we talk about selling yourself to where you're gaining skills, your confidence is increasing, that's going to happen over time. And as you go through the level 1 checklist, as well as incur more knowledge as you go through other levels, is that you're going to start better understanding how to sell your mission, your vision, and your values, part of either your brokerage or as you're kind of designing how you do business as some type of brand. But right now, what we need to figure out is how to get into this target market of one. What I mean is you are the only one that they would listen to, think of, trust, and know as the top professional in a relationship with them because you nurtured this time frame. As we know, nurturing means caring for and encouraging the growth of someone. So how do we really do that? There are 5 stages or steps that Phil Jones will talk about. And the challenge with the last couple years of real estate is we've lived it really in 2 steps. And for some of you that are maybe not the best dancer, we know the 2-step is easier to learn, to find a dance partner, to be confident in completing. The challenge is we have to have moves now because it's a 5-step process that leads to a sell. You see, over the last couple years, and I'm sure many of you would agree, that for most of the conversations we were in, they led to opportunities. The challenge now is that the conversations are somewhat not leading to lots of opportunities because the sentiment and or the belief around what's happening in real estate may or may not be true, but their overall experience is not moving that fast or in the transactional area of real estate. So we really need to start by asking questions. The questions that we want to ask are based off a framework of where people are. Do they need to change their perspective because really they believe something maybe to not be true? Do we need to make things easy for them to get into a conversation? So as we start thinking about a technique, it would be called OFQ, a personal opening, a mutual agreeable fact, and an easy to answer question. As you start looking at, there is no right or wrong script, but curiosity is the feel for great conversations. And as we start looking at, if we want to get into conversations with people, could we maybe get their permission by having easier questions to answer if they fall in to this category of a stranger or an acquaintance, meaning they're not a personal friend of yours and they're not a family member to where they'll answer some harder questions with truth or honesty. I'll give you an example. Let's just say we're calling an online lead. Pay-per-click, Zillow, doesn't matter. And we say, this is Justin Martin from ABC Homes. I noticed that you inquired about the property on 1255 Dexter Street. There's my opening. That's a mutually agreeable fact, right? They'd say, yeah, I did inquire about that. Easy answer question is this the only property you're interested in? That's a lot easier than how is your home search going? Or if you're following ALM and you're scheduling an appointment, remember, that's not a very easy to answer question. Why? Because they have schedules, they don't quite know things, and overall, even though that's what's taught, it's not in the right framework, because if they said, yes, it's the only home we're interested in, well, now you could actually show them that you have a relationship, because you can say things like, knowing that you said, or because you said. Okay, well, John, because you said that's the only home that you're interested in, most people are looking to see the home in person. When would you like to schedule the showing? I'm assuming you would like to schedule an appointment to see the home. You see how they lead very well in more of a appropriate relationship versus us trying to close right away. Remember, very few people have committed to doing real estate at the current moment, so we need more relational language, and it starts with these 5 steps. Asking questions, getting into more conversations. In that conversation, we're going to say, show me that you know me. So knowing that you said, or because you said, would lead to more opportunities. Those opportunities could be coffee appointments, they could be showings, and the reason why is because if you said something like, well, John, knowing that you guys were thinking about buying a home before rates changed, knowing that you would like to get into a larger home since you are having an additional child, knowing that you guys don't want to miss out on the market when there is an opportunity like you did last time, could it help if we scheduled a 30-minute meeting and I could walk you through what the top experts are predicting is going to happen in the market over the next 6 months so you're ready when the time comes? Yeah, that could help. And now we're in an opportunity. And as we start having more opportunities, and opportunities are really presentations. All right, presentations are CMAs, annual equity reviews, real estate reviews, seminars, 3 tips on how to maximize the price of your home when you're selling, all these kind of things to get people to listen, to get to learn, because then what's going to happen is you're going to be able to sell them on the process, right? These are the 8 steps, and if people will take the next action, now they're taking steps. This is ultimately what leads to sales. And as we start thinking about what are some good questions and conversations to talk about to get in a relationship with people, the market is one of the best. The challenge is we can't be there to try to change their perspective of the market. Our job is to listen and ask great questions about what makes them say that. Or help me understand where you got that information. What's your understanding of how that information is released? How certain are you that their predictions that you're listening to are correct? As we start maybe asking questions that are not judging them, but through curiosity, we can show them that we know them. Our relationship actually might support them having doubt, and not because we're arguing with them, but because we're the best person at asking questions, and we've had more conversations than any other professional with them. And because we can say all these things about knowing them, the opportunity might be that they start listening to us or giving us the opportunity to show them some of the facts. Like, well, with the VA loan, you probably need 0% down. With some grants and some other products, you might need 1% down or 3% down. The market crashing at 67%, that's been above 60% since 2015. So for 8 years, people felt this way. And how disappointed do you think many of them are for having not purchased? The only way we can get them to take action is through these appropriate steps and remembering that the relationship needs to last a lot longer than you being on the phone to try to get people to close in the next 90 days. Your goal is to ask really good questions from curiosity, to carry on conversations because people like it when we ask questions and we listen versus talk. And in that, if we can tell them that we know them a lot or because they said a lot of things, it's easier to see would it help or could it help spending time together. And that's where your relationship will really grow into the transaction phase, is when you get face to face and they are now listening to you because you've done a great job at listening to them.